Running for House Representative, as you can see, District 118. And the reason I'm running is my opponent, the incumbent, has had no competition in the last 10 years. And democracy doesn't work without competition. My qualifications, I've got a bachelor's degree from Bryant University in North Smithfield, Rhode Island. I've got 2 associates from the Community College of Rhode Island, one in liberal arts, one in business. And I retired from the Air Force as a Master Sergeant with many years of service. And the major reason that I'm running is for competition, for an opportunity to let the people's voice be heard. And I'm kind of a middle-of-the-road candidate on the American Party. The American Party is kind of a middle-of-the-road forum, not to the left or to the right like the Democrats and the Republicans.
And we have strived to be the one thing, although you may not want to see the coroner. It's been 36 years of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One time, I had a guy from I-95 is one of my main sources of business. And it's just like having another town coming through Jasper County, big town. And we have people from all over the world who come through Jasper County and for some reason choose to expire in Jasper County. So I had this one guy, he was a diplomat from Barbados. And there was I tried to find family here and ended up going through his wallet and finding that he had family. He had a sister in Barbados. So I finally got in touch with him and we ended up shipping him home to Barbados for his services. And wasn't too long after that I had somebody else die. And I was using, tried to use my county credit card again. And I put in the number and the operator came on and said, "I'm sorry, sir, your credit card has been revoked." So I called Joyce on the phone and I said, "Joyce, what's going on with my credit card? It's revoked and I need to call." And she said, "Oh, haven't you heard? Some county employee was using his credit card to arrange a vacation in Barbados." So they just canceled everybody's credit card, and mine included. And I laughed, but they never did that. They were glad, I think, that they called in all the credit cards. One other situation where it was kind of the case of the missing $10,000. Had a situation where a lady died out on I-95 and she was brought to the old Jasper County General Hospital. And I went in and, said she's definitely passed away. And then I went to tell the family that she had indeed died. And the daughter and the son-in-law were standing there and they said, "Well, where's her money? We want her money." And I said, "Well, I didn't see any money." And they said, "Well, she always had at least $10,000 on her person." And to make a long story short, I went back in there and she had $10,000 stuffed in her bra. And needless to say, I left it there, and I said, "Well, I found the $10,000, but you're gonna have to go get it." So they went in and they were happy. They had recovered the $10,000, and we ended up sending that lady back to Miami. But I do appreciate the fact that you all have shown up tonight, and I certainly hope that on November the 8th, when it comes time to cast your ballot, you'll consider Martin Sauls. Thank you.
High visibility aggressive patrolling. The number one way to deter crime is when someone sees a police car or a sheriff's deputy car riding by the neighborhoods. We have to take this county and divide it down into zones and to assign officers to these zones where the response times are dramatically reduced, where the officers actually have the ability to catch someone in the act, criminal act when they get there. So first of all, we have to have a bigger patrol division. We have to have more guys committed to the streets. Not just guys, but people who are committed, just as I wish to be, out there aggressively patrolling. Secondly, we have to build a relationship with our people. When there's not any trust in law enforcement, someone in the community knows what happened in each and every situation that's happened here in Jasper County. But they're too afraid to come forward and to share that with us because they don't have any trust in us. So I want to be the sheriff, not only puts more men in the street, but also I want to build a relationship with the community where when they have that information, they will be willing to come forward and share and say, Sheriff Malphus, I heard this the night of this crime, or I saw this car leaving the scene, or I got information about this, that, or the other. And that's what we need. We need, first of all, more cops on the streets, making you feel safer, breaking them down into zones where they can actually have some ownership over the areas that they're patrolling. When they ride by Mr. Smith's house, they know because they've been there time after time, week after week, patrolling that area. They can say, I know Mr. Smith drives a red pickup truck. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and his truck's not there. Maybe I need to go knock on the door and check out and see what's going on with Mr. Smith, see why his truck's not in this. And I want these officers to have some ownership and have some responsibility and accountability to what they're doing. First of all, priority, put more guys on the streets. It's a must. It's not a what if, it's a maybe, it's a must. And secondly, build a relationship and let the patrol guys have some ownership. And above and beyond that, we have to have more investigators. Yes. We have to expand that division to investigate these murders and these big crimes that we're dealing with in Jasper County. I heard people say, well, the crime rate is skyrocketed through the country, through the world, and that's true. However, it's tripled in Jasper County compared to everywhere else throughout the country. So we have an epidemic, we have a drug problem, we have an epidemic of crime that we must get a hold to, or we're going to be, the gangs are knocking on our doors. Savannah has a major gang problem. Colleton County has a major gang problem. They're coming here and they're setting up shop here because we're the path of least resistance. We can no longer allow that. A criminal has no right to wander our streets unabated and unmolested and unprotected.
When they came over, but they came
I won't say the
over
people
before
in the
Ellis
community
Island, and
is
we've been
scared
like
to
in
talk.
Jasper
It's just the
County
fact of, coming forth and
Getting
testifying
into
in court when
the
the time
political
comes.
arena
I want you to understand,
not
Jasper
actually
County Sheriff Office has
uncharted territory for
655
my family.
square miles.
My great-grandfather
And you broke this team
on
down,
both
you got
sides served as the sheriff of
36
Jasper County
sworn
for years,
officers
and
under the
unfortunately
sheriff.
was killed in the line of duty.
36.
And my grandfather on my
got
father's side actually
5
served as
investigators.
the county
I believe
supervisor,
like about
which is
16
now
to
an
17
appointed
patrol
position as a higher
officers that's
position.
on the road. That's
But back
not
then it was
including
actually a
civil process and
elected
all.
position. So
If you break that down per
politics
man,
have been in my
on a
family
12-hour
for
shift,
some
you're looking
time,
at one
different
man
times
covering
during years.
1,600
But born and raised
35
right
square
here.
miles,
I attended
which
both
is
Jasper County High
unbelievable
and Thomas
for one
Hayes.
officer.
I graduated in 19.
We don't have enough officers. That's true.
I did
We
not go
don't.
off to college.
We would like to put a
immediately.
car, 2 cars in Fortville and just have them sit there all night long. That would be wonderful.
Years.
we-
But as time went on,
We
and-
don't
and
have the
opportunity
manpower. We don't.
presented themselves,
Again,
I realized
I
that
want you to
I
understand,
wanted to get back into the funeral service.
I would work hand in
I had done
hand
that when I was in high school.
Marty,
In 2003,
Mr. Tom
I enrolled
Johnson,
in college, and in
and see that we
2005,
can bring
I
this,
graduated
bridge this
from
gap
Ogeechee Technical College in
between
Statesboro.
county
My
council
funeral service
and the sheriff office. We can
And
go to
my
them
apprentice
with
and
broken
got my
down
license to be a
statistics
funeral director
showing
in
what we
for the
need
state of
in the
South
crime rate.
Carolina
If you take,
in
if you look at the
2007.
analysis,
Of course, held those licenses.
right now,
And
like I said, we have
and
5
I was
investigators.
at my funeral home. As
the
far as
current
the
crime
coroner's
that's been
office
going
is
on, should have been
concerned,
up at least
I
25 to 30
was appointed as
investigators.
deputy coroner in 2009.
And that's just within the sheriff office alone.
And I held that position until 2000.
We all hate to see crime happen. And I apologize for you living near Fortville area, which is one of the prominent areas for that, all the traffic and drug that's going on.
I'm in the funeral business. The
We
coroner's
would
office
like to
is hand in
decrease that
hand
as well.
with funeral service.
And I feel that
They're already
if I'm put in
positioned
place
and
to be your
equipped
sheriff,
to handle those calls.
I got the information
And
where we can do it and get the
So
help
death
where we
is
can
not
stop
enjoyable
this.
under any circumstances.
All
The
right?
opportunity to be there for a family and go through that with them is something that I feel like
There's two ideas I had. The
called
first
to
idea
do.
is kind of like what you
and I've
said,
enjoyed,
is to get a
you know, a lot of
representative from
friends
each
over the years.
neighborhood.
A lot of
Because
people
each neighborhood has a different set of
and then we
crimes
become
that they're
very
dealing
close
with, situations
throughout
or
that
issues.
process.
So to
And
hear from each
in order for me to
individual
be able to serve the residents
as some
of
kind of
Jasper County
advisory
again,
board, of course, they're not a
I
name to
decided to
that,
run for coroner.
that would be a good
My wife
start.
and I have one son. He's 8
That
years
way
old.
we know. and
We live
keep
here in
a,
Richmond. He goes
kind of
to Stafford
an
State
idea of
Academy.
what everyone throughout the county
And we
deals
have a funeral home.
Some people
here.
dealing with drugs, some people
So I
dealing with
feel
break-ins,
that
some people are dealing
with
with robberies,
our home
some people
and
dealing with murders.
business
So
being
it would be
here
nice to
in
have
the
a
central
person,
part
I'm
of the
speaking
county,
up loud because some
I would
people
be
back
in
can't hear me.
an
It'd
opportune
be nice to have a
place
representative from
to
each
be able
neighborhood
to
or
reach both the
each
northern
area
part
of the county
and
to
the
meet
southern
on
part
a
of the
monthly
county
basis with the
when
sheriff
that
and
time
his people.
arises
So we
that
can,
need to
so
go.
obviously we can build that relationship that I
So,
talked about.
With that
But
being
more
said, I
importantly,
certainly
so we
appreciate
know
Pratt
what we
Memorial
need to do
Library
as far as
opening
enforcement in
up
each area.
this hall tonight.
And
so
of
that
course,
we
the
can
second way
and
is,
let y'all see us and
good,
answer some questions
good
for
faithful
y'all.
neighbor, your neighborhood watch program, where not only do we meet as a board, if you will, or as a advisory committee, but where the neighborhood in themselves are meeting on a monthly basis or regular basis, and they're sharing together. You know, who saw this? Who saw that? This is something that we need to present to the sheriff and his people during the meeting coming up in a week or two. So there's multiple ways. One, I agree, we do need to have that because we need to keep the pulse of the people in the community and what they're saying and what they're hearing and what's going on. But secondly, we need to be involved, you know, through crime watchers, you know, through neighborhood watch, where you can call that 1-800 number. We have that available in this county, where you can call Crime Stoppers and you can give an anonymous tip. But we want people to not just call in unanimously. We want you to call in with ownership of your community. And we want you to get directly involved and get directly involved with us. You know, I'm with Mr. Hip. We need more men. We need a lot more men. But we have to make sure that we're putting our current resources to the max before we can go to the county and ask for men. That's one of the things I want to do is I want to go to the county council and say, look, you know, I've rearranged things. We've restructured our department. We're operating at max capacity, like a well-oiled machine, but we need more people. And what we're going to do with these people is this. We're going to create an advisory board. We're going to assign officers to each individual area of the county so they can build a relationship with the citizens and we can hear on a regular basis what's going on in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that question up because that's the #1 goal on my platform. It's called create COPS, community-oriented policing, where citizens such as yourself within your community get together once a month with law enforcement, sheriff office, at a designated location where we sit down and discuss the crimes that are going on within each community. From, as the young lady over here said, from Fortville to Mitchellville, Lakeview, wherever it may be occurring at. We all get together and discuss this at a location where we're able to, you know, distinguish these crimes or decrease the crime. So, again, that's one of the things we're looking at, I'm looking at, is implementing within the sheriff's office, community-oriented policing. Thank you.
First of all, I'm not so naive that I think that things can stay the same. Everything changes. Something will change by the time we leave here tonight. But I'm speaking conceptually that I want to see woods and waters and I think that the port is a compromise between overdevelopment kind of opportunity and opportunity down there on a peninsula that nobody sees. To answer your question, we are doing a myriad of things in small ways because it's a distressingly slow project. We've got some time that may be a blessing a blessing we didn't want, but it may be a blessing. And one is proposed exit 3. One is trying to improve in 4-lane 17. to do something at the death trap there at Freedom Parkway or 315 or whatever the number is now. Then we're trying to work with the schools, the tech school, possibly the university, the CAPES program, some idea of revitalizing ACE and focusing all those on port-related activities, not exclusively, but substantially. And hopefully then, I saw this long article about the crisis coming on Hilton Head because people are no longer want to get up in the dark and ride to Hilton Head to cut grass for minimum wage. And I was thinking, man, what a nice compliment. I feel like they have really given me a vote of encouragement with that whole. I'm proud to be part of that crisis. If people can go to work down at the port for at a reasonable hour and make $20 an hour instead of $7, and get home in time to help with homework and cook supper, I'll let Hilton Head work about Hilton Head. But I don't know if I've answered your question other than we're moving forward in small increments on a dozen fronts. We actually have no more authority over I-95 than each of you do. We are our voters, and I say that we might have a little easier time getting an audience, and we do, in fact, it's been 4 or 5 years ago before it was actually quite as publicized. I worked with Ms. Tyndall and the Soil Conservation Service on the idea of getting the median substantially timbered and having things like cedar trees, Christmas type trees put up, and a pollinator, some sort of pollinator things for the bees. I'm not overly dewy-eyed tree hugger, but I believe in nature, and for y'all that haven't kept up, pollinators are a big deal because they equate to food, not just honey and butterflies. But so we totally agree with you. We've been lobbying, if that's the right word, but it is a federal and state thing that we have very little input on. We handle what seems like a lot of money for roads, but we have more county roads that nobody else has any responsibility for, that we have to make our first priority. And roads are so incredibly expensive. You talk about $20 million, that's good for, here to Tillman maybe, if you were building a road or rebuilding a road. What you've described as, every June I sort of dread facing my family because somebody will say, "You sure don't like animals." That, if anybody knows me, they would think that was kind of ironic, because we don't give the animal shelter all they ask. Mr. Harvey, you don't think much of firemen and EMS, do you? And that's because we don't fully give them everything they want. Mr. Crosby might say, well, you sure don't support law enforcement because we don't give them everything they want. Same with old people and education and you name it, because unless y'all tell me different, we taxing you about as high as you could stand, and without your knees buckling. Now, if I'm wrong, If anybody disagrees, please raise your hand and ask me to, okay, you think we ought to raise taxes? Okay.
Sure do.
All right, well, good. I appreciate your input, and you may well be right. I'm not suggesting you aren't. That's my. Well, that's my point. That every single mission, every single department, every single elected official has a very important job, or they wouldn't exist. And we have to figure out a way to take a limited amount and spread it around where it'll do the most good. And we're not perfect, but that's what we're trying to do. So we don't give any one mission, any one group what they want. It's not because we don't support them, it's just because we divvied it up the best we could. So if you wanted to cut out the fire department and give it all to the sheriff's office, that would be one thing to do, but I don't think that would be a very good idea. If you want to cut out the sheriff's department and give it all to the fire and EMS, that would be a possibility, but I don't think that would be a very good idea. But what we would like to do is expand the tax base so we can have more, make things more efficient. Right now, one thing we're doing is trying to get a regional crime lab, and I respectfully disagree somewhat with the experts, and I would quickly say they know more than I know, but it's my opinion that visibility is not as much of a deterrent as assured conviction. If you do something wrong, you're going to get caught and you're going to get convicted, and to do that we need forensics and things that you don't. Right now, one of these gentlemen sends something up the sled in Columbia, it's liable to be a year before it comes back, and then they might have somebody in jail and say, whoops, you're the wrong one, let's go on another one. And that's, by that time, it's a year cold. And I'd like to, we've instituted some things to try to use electronic monitoring instead of the jail. And some of y'all might think that's soft-hearted or liberal. Actually, it's 17% of our budget goes to the jail, and I would much rather those people be sitting home eating their own groceries with somebody watching them on a computer than I would keeping them out there at $60 a day. By the way, is the incremental cost. That's not what it costs to build the jail divided by the life of jail. That's what the difference between an empty bed and a full bed. So I'd much rather give that $60 a day to the sheriff to hire another officer. Little things like that, we just try to keep herding cats till we try to get it here and there. And other than this gentleman, that's the first person I've heard that said we just really don't pay enough taxes. We need to pay more. And if he could spread the word and y'all support higher taxes, I'm not going to reject that out of hand. But I don't think I'm going to hear that. Yeah. The latest study says it's going to create 1 million jobs, but that's from here to Knoxville, Tennessee. And because the shipping industry looks at how far you can go from the port to where some other port is, where people coming from another port can compete with you. And the local jobs, of course there's going to be a huge amount of construction workers, but the local jobs are in the thousands. I'll be honest, I've heard so many numbers that I don't remember which one you seem to.
Bill Godfrey, Bluffton, 55,000 is what's supposed to be immediate. 55,000 right here, just from the port alone.
Right, and that, of course, would be the people that bring a paycheck from the port, who, you know, buy clothes and eat lunch and buy gas and buy cars and all that. But the direct employment would still be in the thousands of actual port paychecks. The jobs, I mean, the pay scale would be consistent with the current port workers, about a third of which live in South Carolina, or maybe it's more like 40%. So we all know those people who are work at the port and may make incredible incomes, or at least, and all the way down to those that just make a comfortable income, but also have health insurance and pension plans and things like that you don't have when you cut grass and wash ditches. And I'm not sure if I've fully answered your question. I don't want to sound like the candidate Trump that said it's going to be great, it's going to be huge, but it's going to be great, it's going to be huge. And the impact on the Low Country, for those of you who don't know, this is on a peninsula between the Wright River and the Savannah River, so it's not adjacent to any homes or businesses or anything else. As far as the impact on the environment, I usually refer to it as pre-raped, in the sense that the environment, as if you define that as what God made, was destroyed starting in colonial times and finalized probably in the 60s. By that time, it was under a number of feet of mud, and like I said, whatever God made that used to be a marsh or a cypress swamp that then was a rice field is down there about 28 feet, so that the environmental cost of developing that property is pretty well zero, because it has no original environmental value left. Because it's tucked away down there, it will not have a sprawl like Port Wentworth. And it's my vision, my hope, that the existing populace that now commutes to work will end up working locally, so that there will not be vast numbers of haphazard developments that take up vast amounts of acreage. But and that's my hope. That's my goal. And I hope we can all work to see that we keep what's good and improve on what needs improving.
And that money
Under Title 21, the Drug Enforcement Code, you can get a portion of those funds. The federal government, the IRS, normally gets their share also. And if you get a portion of those funds, they are directed as to how you spend them. It might be for victims witness. It might be for more manpower. It's hard to say. But the sheriff doesn't direct how he spends the money. He doesn't direct how much he gets. That comes from the federal court. Well, you've been there, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. I really just have to accept the system we have. Wish we had a better system, but that is the best I could do at this time, because there's nothing I can do about it but work with the system under those circumstances.
Like I said earlier, we have invested a great deal of effort and money into opening up our own business here in Jasper County, which is our funeral home out on 336. And yes, we do love Jasper County. I love Jasper County. I've always been here. never really wanted to live anywhere else. As far as the political process, unfortunately, because I'm not serving as the deputy coroner, which I was certainly content in doing so, the next step would be to run for the office of coroner itself. Not that politics is an easy thing to be in, but sometimes it's necessary to get the outcome that you need.
Question. What we have currently, and I've seen it with a lot of the businesses coming in, is we have a fee in lieu of tax. Okay, so there is funding, if I'm not mistaken, that does go into county coffers, does it not, Ms. Clark? Okay, so there is money coming in on those new businesses that are coming into the county. I would really like to re-examine the whole fee in lieu of tax, though. It's one of those things where it bothers me, because we have a lot of businesses that are getting fees rather than paying taxes over a period of 10 years, 5 years. And I'd like to see what kind of difference that makes in the taxes that are coming in. It's not necessarily a different plan. It's a matter of putting that first and foremost. Instead of worrying about the height of flagpoles, let's start worrying about traffic studies. It's as simple as that. It's a matter of priority. And those roads are a priority. They have to be. How many people have we lost on the roads this year? 20? It's absolutely essential that we do this.